Welcome back to the DWG podcast. We are down with the Get Down. I am your co-host Romel
and your boy Derek.
Man, how you been feeling, bro? It's been a second since I've been down back in the city.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. The storm was pretty bad though.
Yeah, I heard it's been it's tornado central in Tennessee.
I didn't see no tornadoes, but it was just raining hard.
Man, that's how it was in Nashville. It wasn't that bad. It was just storming real bad. Even my job, he was like, man, he hasn't dealt with tornadoes, so dude was just like, he was like, if it's a tornado warning, just stay home. He's like, just stay home, and I was just like, we're kind of used to it. So we're kind of that's kind of how it goes. But that's pretty much. He's from Boston, so he was like, we just deal. He said we deal with snow, and I was like, I would rather deal with that.
Yeah, no. Snow is much better than the tornado.
Yeah, but people can't drive down here, so we'll be doing that. Oh, we do have we have a different face, a familiar face to us, but that's how I do it. He wasn't prepared. I throw him off. But yeah, y'all, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jackson Henderson here. Appreciate you coming through, big dog. This is the guy behind the studio, Damage Media Group. This is where we record. I'm about to say, you want to do like a elevator picture to let them know, let the people know.
Yeah, sure. My name is Jackson Henderson. I have been in Memphis since like 2019. This is kind of cool being able to do a podcast with y'all because like we talk, but we don't really talk.
Yeah.
So like you don't really know a lot about me.
Yeah, I was like, this is the perfect time.
Yeah. But I moved here in 2019. I'm from Oneonta, Alabama. It's like a really small town in Alabama.
Okay.
But yeah, I basically just started doing music before I actually moved here, like 2017, and then around I think it was 2018, I started doing podcast, and then I started Romero Records podcast, and then somebody wanted me to do a virtual podcast one time, and then I was like, yeah, I don't like doing virtuals because like the audio quality is not the same or whatever, and then I started doing virtual podcasts because it was cool because like you can do interviews with people who you wouldn't normally get to because they'd have to travel all the way to you or something like that.
Yeah.
So
and then it's cheaper too because then you probably have to pay them too. You're like, hey, can you come be on the podcast? And then they're like, yeah, for a fee.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I've got Damage Media Group, the studio. I'm working with Ryan Olson of Uproar Recording. So, just trying to do good things in the Memphis area.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah.
It's a lot of creatives coming up in Memphis for sure. I know the scene has changed. I know back in 2016 when we had graduated, I didn't really hear much like coming up, and then I was thinking like everything was further out, and then after we because we. What was it? Fun fact: when you guys see Wyra, our first guest on here, he was the reason. He was the connect that got us to Jackson, and so he showed us the scene that was out in the area, like the creative scene. And I was like, dang, it's kind of lit.
Yeah. But if you don't be paying attention to it, you don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, I thought it was his podcast. I legit because like. He just told me, like, yeah, I got some guys going to come in. We're going to do a podcast. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then the next time came back, I don't know if he was here for the second one.
I think he was here for the first like
two or three.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Mm-hmm.
And then when he stopped coming back, and then you were messaging me, I was like, oh, this isn't his podcast.
I was like, yeah.
That joke was so funny, but yeah.
Bro was like, oh, he's the connect.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much. It's a small world for sure. Sure. Now we're all locked in, and we got plenty of work coming through. And I know you guys got y'all. I see you got a. It's something happening next week. Is it 22nd?
Yeah, the 22nd.
We got the next.
Yeah, we just dropped an album. It's our first collaborative album under Damage Media Group that we've released, and then we dropped that yesterday. And then on the 22nd, we've got a concert. So if you can make it out to that, that'd be great. But we've got 12 artists on the album. Basically, I just did it like DJ Khaled style. Just picked the artists that I thought would make a great album together, and then just brought them on, and they did great. I still think it's going to be the best album released out of Memphis all year, but I'll let the people decide.
Okay. You might need to do a review.
Yep, gotta listen. We gotta go through now. Is it on all platforms?
Yeah, it's on all platforms starting yesterday.
Okay. So it's recent.
Yeah.
This is what I got to listen to when I head back home. It's gonna be the first thing I throw on.
You got 3 hours.
Yup. How long? How many songs?
I think it's only 10 songs, and I think it's like 31 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's smooth right there.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much wanted it to be long enough so where people can get a good gist of like, the different kinds of music that we're going to make, but I also wanted it short enough to where people are actually going to listen to the whole thing. If you see an album that has like 20-something songs on it, you're like, all right, which one sounds the coolest? Yeah.
Especially like it's hard to put a lot in there too if like people aren't used to the name yet.
Yeah.
So they're more inclined to listen to something shorter than something longer.
Correct. That's like watching a new YouTube channel and then like, they got like an hour-long video. You're like, oh, I'm not going to watch this whole thing.
Right, yeah.
And then with all those people on the, since you're doing DJ Khaled style, it gives everybody each song. Is it like a different artist for each song, or is it like a collective? They just hop on different ones.
Yeah, there's I think 2 people. Yeah, 2 people had 3 songs. There's an artist named Coffee and an artist named C4 Dadon, and they did 3 songs. Crisis J, I think he did 2 songs. Suave Land, he did 2 songs. So like a few people did 2 songs. 2 people did 3 songs. So we just tried to. I wanted to limit how many songs people would do to about 3 because I didn't want it to seem like that person featuring all these other people. You know what I mean? So just wanted to give everybody enough chances to be on enough songs. So
No, that's solid, man. You guys check that out for sure, because I know that's gonna be the first thing I'm popping on the radio. Get me going.
Hey, we'll put the link in the description.
Yeah, we'll put the link in there. Yeah, so we'll get that from you.
Awesome.
For sure. And then as far as we got some things on the board for today as far as topics. Did you wanna kick it off?
We can. So the shooting in Nashville.
Yeah.
Shit, it's crazy.
Yeah, y'all pray for the city, pray for Tennessee in general. Is this the first time that something like this has happened in Tennessee?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Well, I guess
we're like really high in crime.
Jesus. All right. So
it's not the first thing that's happened because a few months back, we had the dude that was going around shooting at
in Memphis. Oh, you talking about? Yeah, I remember that.
Was it Ezekiel?
Yeah,
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel.
The dude, they talking about the dude that he went viral, like the face he was making, and the people were trying to tie it to the devil and stuff. Yeah, that was crazy. And then now, R.I.P. to the people over there. It was at a church school too.
Yeah. It was a Catholic school.
Yeah, Covington. It was a Covington. Yeah, Covington. So I forgot the name, but it's been on the news everywhere at this point. So you guys do know the situation. So yeah, pray for them. And then I know it's been a lot of controversy going on about like as far as the next steps and everything of going there. I know a lot of people are getting frustrated with how the government's going about it.
Well, that, and then they did a protest or whatever for the chick that shot everybody.
Didn't it was like 2 dudes that got like that were a part of Congress or something. They got kicked out. I remember what it was.
Yeah, it was
something like that.
I forgot the other guy's name, something Jones, but Justin J. Pearson was one of them. I'm pretty sure he's a local Memphis person, and he's a state representative. I actually had him on one of my virtual podcasts.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So it was kind of weird because I usually, when I pull up my browser for Google Chrome, it always pulls up Google News.
Yeah.
And I pulled up Google News, and the first thing I saw on CNN was Justin J. Pearson. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I talked to this guy.
Had to go check the episode real quick. What we talking about? Make sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. It's weird because there are people that had a problem with her friend that wasn't actually her friend.
Yeah.
Then, the whole thing about protesting because they misgendered her or whatever. And it's just a lot of weird stuff that's going on. And nobody's really just focused on the fact that, children died.
Yeah, it became more of a media thing. They instantly went towards the LGBT stuff, the reasons why, all these things and motives and stuff. And it's we got to get down to the basics, which is that children died. There were faculty that died in that situation, and just call it what it is, just a bad time.
Yeah, they actually they caught another person that was planning to do the same thing that she did. She had a whole plan set out, and she had been planning it for like 6 months, and they caught it like before she was able to do anything and arrested her.
Oh, dang.
And they're trying to charge her for, I believe, a hate crime or something like that, because she was targeting Christian schools and churches, which she was also trans, so it's like a whole thing with that and whatever.
And you kind of like, I feel bad for the community because it's like you making it as a couple bad eggs. Now they're gonna run with that narrative. They're gonna run with the fact that they're targeting Christian schools. Oh, they hate Christians. So now everybody's is gonna turn to that situation versus like what it is.
Yeah, but I mean that would happen with anybody though.
Yeah,
like regardless of like because there's been, I think before this one, there were like 4 other like LGBT mass shooters, and like it's kind of just been a thing that they would say or talk about. But they say the same thing about like white people when white people shoot up a school or whatever. And if it was any other race, they'd probably do the same thing and try to demonize them for a little bit, and then they'll like calm down. But it's just people's emotions are high.
I think minorities have a bad rap when it comes to these kind of things, but I mean, it's unfortunate that, you know, her or he being trans or, you know, all these different kinds of labels that we put on people. It's unfortunate when they get a bad rap because it's like, you know, it's not the rest of them fault, you know, if
right.
Like Zeke, you know, what he went around shooting, killing everybody. Like he doesn't speak for all black people.
Right.
Well, because people need to understand too, like you have to understand, like he's mentally ill, right?
Yeah.
I can't necessarily talk about all his problems because it's like a HIPAA violation, because like I actually know who he is. But you know, with her, she also is a mentally ill person. And any person that like decides, hey, I'm going to go shoot up a school filled with children, you're obviously not a mentally stable individual.
You're not stable at all.
So like that's something that should be the main focus, not necessarily like who that person identifies as or like what race that person is.
Correct.
It should be like this person is a mentally ill person and we need to focus on that aspect. Versus, you know, other shit.
Yeah, mental illness it's a serious thing. Like I didn't understand it really until I dated a girl who had depression, and she was just trying to explain it to me, and I was like, that sounds insane. Like that sounds really crazy, and I would hate to go through that. And unless you like been around somebody who actually has a mental illness, you're not going to understand it, and you're going to dismiss it and be like, just get over it, you know, that type of thing. But it's not something you can get over. It's literally a chemical imbalance in your brain that you can't just fix.
Yeah. I mean, shit, I have depression, but I still say get over it. I'd be looking at myself like, quit being a bitch.
Look, he does like, and he's not lying. He's not lying. Bro would literally be like that, and then it's some truth to that statement.
But not everybody can do that though.
Yeah.
Because like I think I'm more, I guess, I'm mentally stronger than most people that have like depression and stuff like that, because I'm able to push a lot of that stuff to the side to like do other things. So, but not everybody can do that, and I understand that. And like working at Lakeside really opened my eyes to the multiple different problems that people have regarding like mental stuff. So I view people that have mental illnesses a little bit differently than I view like other people.
And then you gotta get low key. It's like once you find when you actually get diagnosed is when it changes the game for whatever you need to do, because you were actually diagnosed. You know the situation. And then there's some people who are out there and just claim it. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm depressed." Like, no, bro. Like you just this is a situational thing. You just something happened.
A lot of people are depressed, but they don't have depression. And like, you know, if you're just depressed, that will pass and you'll get over it. And to those people, I say quit being a bitch.
Yeah.
But if you have like actual clinical depression, like you should seek whatever necessary help is for you. Like, you know, a lot of people should probably go seek therapy. I don't need therapy, so like I don't do that because it doesn't work for me. But there are a lot of people that I recommend still do it.
Yeah.
you know, because it is very beneficial for a lot of people to go seek that certain help that you need.
I think some with minorities, I kind of feel like with us, we're when you say the built different part, I think it's a lot of times that we just don't have the luxury of even thinking about stuff like that. Like we don't care. Like that's like therapy wasn't something that was addressed in, especially in the black community, till like recent. Like we heard about it, but half the time you hear your parents be like, "Oh, you're not thinking about that," or it was preached to you that that's weird, or if you're like, "I'm depressed, go depress these dishes." Like,
Well, shit. Like, I saw a story yesterday of this dude linked up with this girl.
Yeah.
And he left some pills over at her house, and so she was like, at a certain point, I do understand trying to know the pills that he was on because they could be for some like sexual thing that he might have.
Yeah.
Because they had sex or whatever. But he was like there for anxiety. And so then she got mad and she said, "You lied to me. You're on crazy pills, all this other stuff." She's going to put him in I guess they have a male hate group on Facebook. Going to put him in there and call him a sick person. And she's going to leave them outside on the porch. And he was like, "That's a lot of money. Like, I don't want you to leave it on the porch. Can you just like hand it to me? Because somebody might take it." And she just cursed him out and blocked him.
She sounds like the crazy person.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
she's crazy as hell. But like she needs help. But yeah, bro, I mean, like a lot of people don't understand mental illnesses. And like the problem too is like they don't understand specific mental illnesses. So like they think depression is just being sad. And like you'll be sad for a little bit and then you'll be okay or whatever. They think anxiety is something that makes you like crazy when it's not. Anxiety is probably one of the highest things that the majority of people have. So it's a normal thing that everybody at some point goes through. I mean, not me. I'm not.
We've all felt anxiety. We all know what it is, but then it's like the way.
Speak for yourself. I told you I'm built different.
He's like, "Look, I don't stress.
I got ice in my veins.
You feel? You know the vibes." But no, it's like when you understand. I think that's what educating yourself, or at least just having an open heart to the situation of understanding. Like, yo, we're in different times. You have to change with the times. You have to understand. The thing is, as far as your own morals, you can stick to your own morals. But if you know better, do better. If you choose not to do better, then you're just behind on the times. And you're just gonna look like the ass at that point. Like,
to speak on that, somebody was telling me, I think it was Michael Butler Jr. Was telling a story about how he worked with a guy, and it was an older white guy, and he like called him colored. And he wasn't trying to be disrespectful. He just legit thought that was okay. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, he might not have known, but good on Mike if this is Mike. I'm sorry to put this on you if it's not you, but, he was just telling me that he had literally just a talk with the guy and told him like, yeah, that's we don't, colored people don't like being called that. That's an old phrase.
Yeah. And I feel like too. My bad. I didn't mean to.
Well, I was going to say also just people who associate with a different gender than what they obviously look like. It's kind of the same thing. One's more obvious than the other, but at the same time, it's like, okay, like as you said, times are changing. Let's be respectful of what people want in their life and how they want to be referred to or whatever. But you just kind of have to allow people to transition.
You gotta understand time. Like you gotta give them time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to touch on too is like a lot of the stuff is it's a problem because we have so many words for the same thing. Because like for minorities, there's people of color, there's POC, there's colored people, and all this other stuff. So like if you just so like if you kind of just don't know, you just kind of go with the first thing. So like he's like, well, colored. He's like, yeah, no, you can't really say that anymore. It's like, oh, well, I'm sorry.
It's like when people say, what is the old term for like Oriental?
When
people say Oriental, I always you hear your grandparents say stuff like that. And then like even probably like Asians around that time were still, or they didn't see nothing wrong with it.
Not even that. When they talk about Native Americans and they still go by Indian.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's not a lot of these things are. We have in America, we have so many words for the same thing, which is why it's so difficult for people that don't live here to kind of like come here and understand everything, because we have multiple words that mean the same thing and we just don't explain it very well.
Yeah, if you are American, the first thing I would suggest you to do to be more cultured is learn a different language. Because when I started learning Japanese and Spanish, I realized that they just have like generic words. And if you're an adult and you just talk, you'll understand what the heck they're talking about. Like you might be talking, what's the name of that? I think it's like an Enchiridion. I think I learned that from Adventure Time.
Yeah.
It's like a book with stories or something like that.
Yeah.
I forgot what it is. But like we have a word for that, Enchiridion. In Spanish, they just call it a book.
Right.
Like that's it. Libro. Like that's it. There's no
Straight
extra
to the
word.
point.
Yeah, there's no extra words or like maybe they might have a word for journal or something like that, but like they have very limited words to describe a bunch of different stuff. But in English, we're like, no, that's not that. It means this. And
It's like gray and gray, like
Yeah,
E,
we get it.
EY and AY, and I found they're like the
Gray.
same thing.
yeah,
There, and
yeah. One's the old British or old English term. I think G.
Is it EY? Is that the old one?
I can't remember. I looked this up, but I can't remember. But yeah, it's kind of like theater too, ending it with an RE instead of ER. Like it's just different ways.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's the same thing, but
Yeah.
it's just the old English term.
yeah. I mean, English. That's why they said English is the hardest language to learn.
Yeah, it's like that and Mandarin are like two of the hardest languages.
I'll never learn Mandarin though.
They got me on that.
I
one.
barely know English.
Chinese language is useless.
It was like, this is one of the top ones. Where? Where? I'm not learning it. It's fine. American, you're going to have to learn English before I learn this. But now, taking things, like interpreting things like that, and then speaking of like the old ways and like how you got to give people times, there's certain things where we give leeway on as far as like learning, like, you know, languages and stuff like that. And there's certain things where right from wrong is like, you old enough to know the problem, and that transitions us to this Charles. Have you heard, like, you know what Charleston White is?
Okay, so I think I know of him, but not clearly, like, I guess what he stands for. I think I've seen the videos. He's like the guy that like sues everybody, like all the companies or something. Is that that guy?
Yeah, supposedly
He does that
older black
sometimes,
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, he
it's
does
okay.
that sometimes.
But like you know a little bit more. You can give him like a little backstory.
Man.
Of him.
You know him personally.
He said, "Man,
That's your cousin.
That's
But
your friend."
I would never associate with Justin right in my fucking life.
Y'all, look, he's lying.
I do not like that.
He's
nigga.
on his side.
I know.
just
Okay,
fucking with
so
you.
I will say, like, which this is kind of the problem, because like he says certain things that like I agree with,
Yeah.
but the majority of the things that he says like are completely deplorable things, and you should not say it. But so a little bit of the stuff that he does is he tries to like teach youth, kind of like getting out of gangs and stuff like that, and like helping with stuff like that. But he's also a racist and a rapist, and
Okay.
Yeah, just double down.
Starting off strong.
and
Starting
he's
off real strong.
He's just a piece of shit.
Just keep it going.
I look, man.
Boy, spitting.
But you know, he's a fucking character.
He's a character.
He's also, some people think he's a comedian, but I mean,
He
I don't.
considers himself.
Yeah, I mean, the jokes he makes, they're not funny. So I don't know.
It's like, is this real or is this fake? So kind of like backstory.
He also talks shit about a whole bunch of gangs, and at one point,
He was talking shit about King Von. I remember he
talks shit about King Von all the time and making fun of the fact that he's dead.
Yes.
So is he like being dead serious, or do you think he does this just to
It's
get
a bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like some of it he makes as a joke, and then some of it it's not a joke. But it's like, because he knows the law, he can make the jokes that he wants to make and not have to worry about anything. Because there are a lot of people like that make videos and like, hey, Charleston White can't come to my city or I'm gonna kill him and all this other stuff.
And he'll pull up to your city.
Right. He'll pull up to the city and he'll be like, look, you made the video, so if you kill me, they already know who killed me. And so he'll just do stuff like that.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. He catches them in the lie. He let people talk long enough, they're gonna snitch on themselves.
He did.
Yeah. He fucked up recently. But the thing is, that's where I'm curious to see where internet's gonna go. That's where I was kind of like, I like this topic because it's like an Andrew Tate situation. It's like you say a lot of stuff, or the internet puts you out there. But this is an example of a guy who he deliberately says wild shit. He'll say he does it on purpose. He mentioned that he was when he went to college and stuff like that, he studied like language and how to like communicate with people, and he knows specifically what riles people up, and he'll go and say certain things, and he says it's a character, but it's like, how far do you let a character go before it's too much?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like he's at the point where it's like wild. It's like, because in the recent videos he was talking about how back in the day, he used to rape white women. He used to ran trains on white women only. And he was like, him and his homies.
Yeah, so like, basically his whole thing is like, he'll completely disrespect like white women because of like racism and all that bullshit. But he won't do that to black women.
That's what he tries to justify.
Yeah, he says, I
Fight
can...
fires with fire. Right?
Pretty much. So he would drug them, rape them, make them like...
He said they were lacing cigarettes.
Yeah. And like he would have like if one of them was gonna come to meet one of his friends, he would just be like, yeah, let's set her up. So then as soon as she came in, everybody just walked out just naked, and then they were like, well, you can have sex with us. And it's a whole bunch of niggas in the room. Like,
that's so crazy.
It's a crazy concept. And bro was like, he said sometimes shit went for. He was like, it was forcefully. We didn't care.
Yeah, he also doesn't like Asian people because he had like one dispute with an Asian person. So he thinks that Asian kids should be killed and thrown into eaten by like alligators and all this other stuff. And Asian women should be raped brutally and all this stuff.
This dude.
It's like, bro, you had me in the first half about reforming gangs. Like, you were reforming gangs. You were telling black folks to get out, like, to like stop doing the dumb stuff that we do in the community and like clean up our act because they can't take us seriously. So I was on board. I was like, this makes sense. I like you to be trolling the black community and letting people know, because we need somebody to come out and like call us out on our own stuff. But then and then it's like, all right, you took a left. He was like, all right, cool. I wait, white women. You grape white women. I'm like, all right.
And the problem too with like, which I think is a problem with most people who say like, I have like a character or whatever. Mm-hmm. They kind of use that to justify them saying real things that they've done. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, but it was just a character type of thing. Because like when this whole thing of him talking about like the rape and all that stuff, he was just like, yeah, they just fell for the trap or whatever. But like, no, you talked about it way too much for it to be like fake. And then he would kind of like shoot himself in the foot by saying like, I did all this when I was a kid and all this other stuff.
Bro, you were like, even as a child, that's kind of like one of them things where if you know it was, this is where like the shot in the foot part really, at first I was like, the kid thing, I was like, that's not an excuse. But then I was like, what really made not an excuse is that he said we only did this to white women, so you knew it was wrong. Oh yeah. So you knew that it was wrong, and you like, I don't do this to my queens, but you gonna do it to the other ones. See, that's how. And then he went on to name drop.
Oh, yeah.
All his homies that was with him.
Oh my god!
Yes.
and the one that was funny, he name dropped all of them. He only gave their first names. He got one of them wrong, and he was like, "Oh, never mind." And then he gave the first and the last name of one of the other two.
Oh my
god,
God.
bro! I'm just like, if they go back and investigate this.
Well, I think it's with because he was also bragging about how there is no they're not victims because they haven't come forward or anything. And I think it might be out of the statute of limitations because it's within a certain amount of years. And I don't know how old he is, but it might be outside of that anyways. So there might not be anything that can be done about it.
But they did get Bill Cosby, and that was stuff that happened like, what, in the 70s?
Yeah, but he got out.
Oh, dang.
So.
I didn't realize that was that long ago.
Yeah, he did that shit like a long time ago, and they just came up out of nowhere and was like.
But also some
This
of
is what happened.
that stuff was alleged to be more recent too. So like, but I mean, they were like, yeah, you didn't do it, so then they let him out.
That's one of like thinking about that makes me just really not want to be that famous because like anybody could say anything about you and people are going to take it as it's true, and that sucks. It's going to defame your name. Just like God, I think there was like an Oregon or Baylor or something like football player who was going to go in the NFL draft, but like I don't think it was like super high. I think he was maybe like a mid like third, fourth round pick or something like that. But he had a rape allegation against him, and they ended up clearing it like 3 or 4 years later. That they ended up clearing his name, and I was like, that sucks.
See, and so when he was talking about how, regardless of anything that he's done, it doesn't matter because people are going to still support him anyways. His justification was because Mike Tyson and Kobe Bryant and somebody else had rape allegations, and people still support them.
I know he specifically mentioned those two.
Yeah, I know. And he's like, they raped people, which were just alleged things. I don't think any of that stuff was actually proven to be anything. But those were his justifications for why nobody cares what he did. And his other justification is only men care that he did it and no women care. So everybody who cares is gay, is what he said.
That's so strange.
That's where the character comes in. It's like, are you being a character or are you doing this? And then it's like there's a fine line. And he said the only way you would even know if it's being real is if you actually was like see him off camera. You'll see him off camera chilling. So, but I'm like, you putting this out here into the world. Now you're getting towards villain status. You're getting towards like, this dude's a menace. We need to get him off the mic because now you're trying to reform gangs, but you're still having the mindset of like the old nasty uncle.
Yeah. I mean, the problem too is like there are a whole bunch of people that support him because it's all those like us versus them mentality kind of people. So they're like, well, he didn't do this to any black people, so fuck white people, basically. Keep doing what you're doing. And that's like his main core audience of people. So with those people, he's not gonna ever really lose people,
I don't know how y'all feel about the, I guess, racism as far as like black people or whatever, but like me personally, I'm not the type of person like I don't see color, but I will say I do forget about like observing people's color, like that being a white person or Mexican. I'm just like, that's just a person. And so like people who are very pro black or pro, if you're Asian, like pro Asian. By the way, this is random, but a lot of Asian people I have noticed are somewhat racist.
Yes.
And they're like subtly racist. It's like they only associate they like only associate with other Asian people, and they're not doing it to be like
it's not even on purpose.
Yeah, it's not like they hate other races. They just
they're very tight knit.
Yeah, they're just accustomed to being with other Asian people.
Well, and that's typically ones that immigrated here because like most places outside of America are very racist to other groups. Like they're very tight knit with who they accept, and they don't like interracial couples and things of that nature, which is why a lot of Asian people, specifically older Asian people, don't really like other races in that way. Like they're fine with interacting, but as far as like relationship or anything like that, like they don't fuck with that.
Yeah, it can be understandable, I guess, because if let's say you're a black person and I mean, face it, like there's a lot of things that black people do that you're just accustomed to. So you want to be with another black person because you're like, I'm used to these things. I'm used to having cocoa butter and fried chicken in my house or something like that.
You get me.
Yeah,
you understand.
You understand. So I might as well be with somebody who has those same customs, those same traditions. But I mean, if you're just blatantly, to me, that's the definition of racism. Somebody said racism is like when you have the opportunity to suppress like another race or something like that, that's racism. So people say like black people can't be racist because we can't suppress another race.
Right.
But in my opinion, I feel like racist is if you are treating somebody poorly because they are another race. Like that's the only factor is they're a different race. I'm going to treat you like trash because you're a different race.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
I feel that.
A lot of that. What we just talked
I was,
about
I was,
this
I was
earlier.
waiting on you to say because I was like I was ready for it too. As soon as you said that,
So pretty much all of our lives, I've basically told this nigga over here that black people can be racist, right? And he has never really just been like, he's never just said like we can or anything. He's always been like, no, we're like prejudiced or whatever, which I've always thought was really stupid because like the definition that they try to use is systematic racism, and they put that in the place of racism. The definition of racism is discriminating or like hating another group based off of their race. And part of that in the definition of racism is prejudice. So you can, in order to be a racist, you have to be prejudiced, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all prejudiced things are racist.
Correct. Yes.
So, but that's kind of like the logic that they try to use. And he recently found out that black people can indeed be racist.
I literally admitted to him on the way here. I was driving. I was like, "You ain't gonna believe it." You ain't believe it because for the longest, I was like, that definition made sense from the systematic standpoint. I was like, okay, I get it. We are the minority with 13% in the United States. White people are the majority. So anything that they do can affect us. Like if a white person, I'm working in a predominantly white place, and then if somebody doesn't mess with me because I'm black, they can take my job quicker. And I was thinking about that as like, if I don't like you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I think that you're a bad person or whatever. How I feel towards you doesn't affect anything. But then I started thinking about the fact of that's an excuse to be a shitty person. I was like, then I realized, and I thought back to it, because you talk to a lot of older black folks, they'll tell you straight up that they're racist. They'll look at you in their eyes and be like, yes.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yeah. But like, as far as how you see them interact with people, they're not going to show that side, but you can see why as you talk to your friends or any other, like anybody that's black, and you see if they have any type of thing, they always say that racism is not, you're not born with it, you're taught. And then you can see that through a lot of black people, that you get the way you feel towards white people and the way you feel towards any race, honestly, comes from how you got brought up.
To me, it's a survival thing because like the reason why older black people might be teaching their children how to act a certain way around white people is because they knew you had to act that way to be able to climb the ladder and be successful. And I get it. I understand it. And I would never knock somebody for being that way. But if you're our age, I'm 30. I think I'm older than y'all.
Yeah.
But if you're my age, like I don't see an excuse to be racist as a black person against white people because like I've never had to be in slavery. My parents were in slavery. They might have seen the repercussions because of slavery, but I didn't have to go through that. And yeah, there are white people who are still racist because they just think they're superior, but they're just dumb. Like it's not something that I think people our age should have to feel like our parents or grandparents were like, oh, I need to treat people like Charleston White. Like you should not have to feel like you need to be that way just to make yourself feel better. I don't know,
Yeah. I mean, because the other thing too is like, so working at Lakeside really exposed me to a lot of people that are racist, right? Because
Real racist.
Where's Lakeside? Like, what do you do?
Mental health.
Okay.
So it's a mental health hospital, and I was on the aggressive unit, so I had to fight a lot. Anyways, so
Spearing folks left and right.
Yeah. So there were a lot of different people on that unit that were racist and stuff like that. Like I got attacked a lot for just being black, and I got called many names and got things thrown at me and stuff like that.
Is this by the patients or
yes, the patients? So what what really got me is like I view people that are racist a little bit different than most people. I view pretty much everybody who is like actually a racist person, they're just a mentally ill person. Because I have seen people that are the most racist people become the nicest people to you once they start taking medication. There is a black lady who I cannot say her name, but so when she comes in, she is absolutely terrible. She will throw stuff at you. She will attack you. All of these things. If you're black, she becomes like the old stereotypical racist white lady.
Does she know that she's black?
When she has her psychotic moments, she does not. She doesn't. She hates every person that is black. She will not talk to you if you're black. She sometimes would get so bad that where we would have to put her in seclusion for like a few days, and then once she gets off of her medication, once she starts taking her medication and she mellows out, she's pretty much spends like the majority of the entire time apologizing to everybody because she just goes out. Like she doesn't remember anything from that period of time or anything like that. But she is an extremely nice lady. Her husband is black. Her children are black. When she gets in that mood, she almost attacks her kids. And so, like, I view people that are racist as just people who are mentally fucked up in the head.
I think of it as like people who just along those lines, but they've just been fed so much crap that like they just don't know the difference. Like they just don't know what they're doing is wrong, and which is a form of mental illness. It's been created. It's not, you weren't born with it.
Right. Like I don't think anybody was just born with it necessarily, but you
dealt with some type of trauma, something happened.
Trauma or just because like, you know, how the media is set up to where it's just made to make people divided. And so like all of that stuff affects you mentally, which is why I think it is a mental illness, because all that stuff affects your mental, and your mental affects your outlook on other people. And so, I mean, obviously those people might not need medication, but they need some proper amount of like therapy or something like that.
Yeah. I think it's a peer pressure thing too, because I don't know if it was others to a podcast or when I'm taking it back to like the black community when it comes to us, because we were also talking about the Holocaust and how like the Germans were during that time. And one of the things that I was thinking about was that it's a mob mentality. I was hearing stories of like Nazis who were Nazis who weren't even like in agreement to situations like that, and they were like basically peer pressured. They were like, oh, it's kind of like I don't really hate the Jews. I didn't.
You know, that's a really good. Yeah. I wish somebody would do a documentary about that. Well, I guess everybody's kind of dead from that era. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some people who were alive.
No, there's some people that are still alive from there.
So that would be a really good documentary, is like the viewpoint of even white people who weren't racist during slavery, or like Germans who didn't care about what happened to Jewish people during that would be a really cool topic.
This is the same thing within the black community. You know, we're talking about like if you hear one of your white friends, you cool, you know this guy. You know this guy is not racist. You know he's cool or whatever, and he might say the N-word. He might say the N-word. Y'all like listening to a song or something like that. Or he gets into a moment and he says something because he's been around y'all for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's how you talk. He'll let that slip. Y'all might let it pass. But then you go to another area and then he says that, and you're not ready, and you're like, I can't defend you around other people.
because
I can't, because they
you can say whatever you want around me. I'm cool. Around other people, I cannot do nothing for you. I'm going to jump you right with them.
I was like, literally, it's mob mentality, because it's like you don't even want to, because, you know, anytime they say, oh, you let a white person say that around you, you instantly like, damn. All right, now I got to defend my black card. So they're going to try to rip it away from me. That's the best.
I say, fuck you. I don't care.
I know you don't. I'm talking about the folks that, the majority.
Yeah.
Because the majority of us, obviously now I don't know about everybody here. We don't be caring sometimes. But because I know, because it's like some people have the mentality, I know what I'm not, and some people have the mentality of, if I know if this happens, I need to put my hands up and fight.
Yeah.
I need to instantly check this. I need to instantly do these things. And everybody's upbringing is different, but the mob mentality is so strong. Like with the Nazis, even if I don't want to arrest these dudes because of their religion,
That's such a crazy
it's like
thing
I don't want to do this. But
Yep.
you know, if I don't, then I'm against my country.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
against my people.
Well, you know, the thing with that too is like, you know, back in the day, there were white people that weren't racist or anything like that. But like the KKK would like kill them too, because they're like, well, you love these people or whatever, and you're like, no, I just don't hate them,
Yeah.
or anything like that. Like, nah, you gotta either hate them or you die with them.
Yeah, it's like if you were a white girl back in the day and you wanted to have sex with some black dude, like your family would hate you.
Yeah, and it would be like you have to choose. You know, do I want to be accepted by my community, or do I want to be hated?
Yeah.
And that's why I can't, you know, I can sympathize with those people because it's like, well, I know me, like I don't give a shit, but I know not everybody can do that.
I cut a motherfucker off real quick.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, if you don't fuck with me, then you don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
But like, I don't care. You know, it is what it is.
I've always been the type of person where like I love that phrase is it's not what people call you, it's what you answer to. So like, you know, if I'm literally the only black person in a room and somebody just starts calling out nigger, I'm not going to turn around and be like, oh, that's me. Like, you're talking to me.
Oh, gotta throw my hands up.
Like, I'm just going to ignore them because I know that's not who I am. Like, I'm not a nigger who you can just like call phrases out to and think you're going to get a response out of me. Like, you're going to have to try harder than that.
Yeah, there'd be people like that at
I just took a
Lakeside.
mental note. It's fine. You going to jail. It's cool.
Bro,
Yeah,
there'd be
yeah.
people like that at Lakeside, and a lot of it would just be so that they could fight you because they were just sad people. And like, I don't think everybody who says it is racist. I've never thought that. I think a lot of people that do it just do it because they're miserable in their life and they just want to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they are actually racist people. And there was this dude, and well, he passed, but you know, because he was fat and shit. And so, you know, I had to get him up one day so that he could go eat or whatever. And he was just like calling me a nigger and all this other thing. And then he was like, fight me and all this other stuff. And I would just look at him because I'm just like, bro, you can't even get up.
You should have started fighting.
You can't get
You can't get up. That was easy.
right. I looked at him. I was like, if you want to fight, we can fight. I don't care. And then he was like, no, come over here and hit me. Punch me in the face and all this other stuff. And then,
Bro, I just want to feel something.
bro, I literally sat down. I was like, what's wrong? And then he started crying.
Oh, man.
He started crying, talking about like how he's fat and he's probably going to die soon and all this other stuff, which unfortunately he did because he was so fat to the point where like he could not sleep on his back or it would stop his heart. So he had to actually like sit up.
Too much pressure.
Yeah, he had to like sit in like a crisscross to go to sleep most of the time and all this other stuff. And he ended up passing because he got sick. He had COVID at one point and he was on the ventilators for that. And then he got pneumonia and then he passed like later.
As bad as that sounds, I love that because it just shows you that literally some people are just in so much pain that they want somebody else to feel pain so that they have something in common with them. Like,
Yeah.
It's a mental, like I kind of that makes sense for you to say it's a mental illness because it's like, yo, I'm suffering, and then this the first moment I can feel big. Let me call him a nigger.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's the first thing that comes through, and it's like, all right, I hate my wife, I hate my kids. They're all ugly. They're all like, or whatever is going wrong. And you're like, I'm not happy. And then the first time you see this happy-go-lucky black person coming in, like, oh, I'm having a good day. And you're like, you know what?
I'm triggered.
Not today.
My senses are tingling.
Plus, I've been playing too much Call of Duty on Xbox 360
Oh, God.
for anybody to say anything and get me out of sorts, you know.
Pause. Xbox 360?
Yeah.
Back in the day, you know, you hop in the lobbies. and they go crazy.
Back in the day.
Oh yeah,
I was
he was like, nah.
Not today. No.
I was like, what?
I was like, bro, nostalgic.
You can do that? I thought they shut those servers down.
Bro, I'm about to hop back on and get called a nigger.
As soon as you hop back on,
As soon as you hop back in, you're like, wow, this is
hop
so
on Call of
toxic.
Duty.
I
You're
love
like,
it.
time to hop on Call of Duty, nigga. All right.
That's the first thing I hear. All right, you're like, all right, so that's enough for the game for today.
Actually, that happened to me recently too. It was
That's
hilarious.
hilarious.
I was playing Destiny, and
Stay toxic.
I was playing Destiny, and this dude, he was like, "Oh fuck, nigger," and then I was like, I found out what his name was on there. I just immediately kept killing him.
Oh my god!
I bullied the fuck out of that.
And then he found out it was.
Yeah.
He's like, damn,
I put my headset on. I love like fucking with racist people sometimes.
it's hilarious.
Mostly on like the game and everything. Like people out
Real life.
No, well, I'll do that too because if you want to fight me, then I'll beat your ass. But you know, it is what it is.
Bro's gonna be like, my genetics weren't good enough. That's why you won. We're gonna use every excuse in the book. But now, that kind of goes into the next thing that I was thinking about as far as like saying wild stuff to like get a reaction out of people. Have you ever just noticed, you ever just scroll through Twitter and then just see something just be wild and be like, this just looks wild. Let me look at the comment section. And then they're just going in. And especially on Black Twitter. Black Twitter loves doing this shit. Like the think pieces go crazy. So I don't know, we talked about it earlier, but do you know, you remember Pinky, the porn star Pinky? Mm-mm. So this is like one
You're
of like
exposing yourself.
You have no fucks.
Is it male or female?
Female.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's like in the Black community, one of the OG like legendary ones, light skinned girl. Y'all can look up if you want to, you nasty niggas.
I'll just put her on the cover.
Just put it on the screen. Like, damn.
Good work.
Yes. I remember that one from my childhood.
Nostalgia.
But no, so she's like 40 now. So like back in her prime, she was known for having a big butt, and then she was like slim, and then got to the point where she was like a thick woman, and then like the stereotype Coke bottle type stuff. And then now she's gotten older and weight has caught up to her, and so she got like real heavy at one point, big girl. And folks were like going in like, I can't believe this is what she looks like now. Like I'm so surprised. And then you say a woman looks big or looks fat or whatever, they instantly go crazy on the internet defending her. Well, she's done so and so and so, and she's older and all these things. And so the guy he decided to post on his Twitter a video of her working out. And when she was working out, she was doing cardio. So it's like, okay, cool, good for her. And he pointed there. He said, this is still wild. And then that's all he said was, this is still wild. Think piece is going crazy in the comment section. And then just to find out like another tweet later that he posted that just to get the people riled up. He knew what he was doing. He was like, he said the statement, because people in the comment section were even stating it out. They were like, he didn't even say anything. He just said, this is wild. You don't know what wild he's talking about. He could have been like...
He'd be like, she looks good.
Yeah.
She still looks good. Or, I mean...
What she's wearing.
Yeah, he could be talking about that maybe she was fat or any of that stuff, but nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows, but people were instantly talking about the weight thing. They were like, yeah, she gained weight. It's wild that she looked like this now, so and so and so. And then they were like, no, she's no longer Pinky, she's the thumb. And so... And so they were going in. People be going, and then you got the feminist side saying, no, she's a queen, and so and so. And then they were just going back and forth. And then people in the section was like, y'all got caught in the trap. They were literally, and
genjutsu.
And the crazy part is he was liking the terrible comments, and he was liking the good comments. He was liking everything, and he was just like. He said, yeah, y'all making me a couple hundreds. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Dude making money off of his tweet going viral. And I was like, this really shows you, like we were talking about the Black community in particular, or at this point it's everybody in the social media square, getting caught up in the hype. Getting caught up in fake news. You don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, it's like the dude that got picked up by the Taliban recently.
What?
Yeah, so there's this YouTuber, right? And he's It's fucking stupid. He goes to the most dangerous places in the world and like makes videos and shit. He got picked up by the Taliban and now he's held hostage. This happened to him in 2021.
He's still there.
No, this happened in 2021, and then he got rescued by British Air Force, and then he went back recently, and then they picked him up again, and now they're holding him for a ransom, I think. And I can't feel bad for dude.
Nah,
but
you got picked up once.
Yeah.
We say we got you once. It's only one
everybody
time.
gets one.
It's one.
Yeah. You ain't got no extra men.
Nah, at that point, you gonna let him sit there. You gonna learn your lesson.
He makes a lot of. Apparently, they said he was racist because he makes a lot of videos about the most dangerous areas in the world, and most of those places are like overseas and stuff like that. So he's kind of like, I heard that. But yeah, I mean, apparently he I don't know, he's like a dipshit, and a lot of people are upset over it. I like the thing with KSI, where people are upset with him, calling him a racist for saying the racial slur of Pakistan. Well, yeah, what is it? Pakistani, and then without the E.
So yeah, they just shorten it, and it sounds like something that would be appropriate to say, but I guess over there is not.
Yeah, like it's a racial slur that apparently a lot of people in America don't know is a racial slur. So like we just say it because we think that's just a shorter way to say it. It's actually a racial slur over there, but KSI is in the UK, so over in the UK they use it a lot more, and they know it's a racial slur, so that's why people were so upset. But he didn't even say it in a way that was like bad. They were playing a game or whatever, and I think the way I explained it to you was like,
they even laughed. They laughed it off and everything.
Well, yeah, but it was like, if you're playing a game and like your white friend has to answer, and the question is like, who is in Paris? And he's like, well, look, I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. Like, I'm just trying to get the point. So he says niggas, and then everybody just laughs. But then the internet's like, oh, he's a racist kind of thing, and that's kind of the situation that happened with KSI.
Yeah, we kind of take everything out of context nowadays, and then now with the Twitter having the verified thing, you can just buy a blue check. You don't know what's real. Yeah, you don't know what's real.
Did you see Instagram did it too?
They did it too.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, it's over.
Did you know?
It's over.
Did you know that you can like certain creators or whatever, you can pay them on Twitter to like read your stuff out. So like if you're saying something, they can read it and like use that for whatever. Like I saw the Mario movie yesterday.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
It was fantastic.
It's better than Sonic. Anyways.
By the way, I finally saw Dragon Ball last night.
Which one?
Which one? Hero or
the last one?
Oh, the last one?
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
That'll be next episode.
But yeah, it's actually really, really good, right? There was a chick that doesn't like it, which I think all the people that don't like it have never actually played Mario because their criticisms don't make sense. But she was reading out tweets of certain people that agree with her because, you have people that agree with you on everything you say sometimes because they're like little simps or whatever.
The Charleston White followers, the coalition.
Yeah, pretty much. But he paid her to like read one of his tweets. And I think that's so weird. But I guess it's like super chats for like, Twitch and stuff like that. But he paid for a blue check mark and he paid her to read it out, and so she did. That's
strange. Cloud is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely, I get it. Like, I get why you want to be verified and all that stuff. But like when I saw it on my Instagram, I'm like, do I really want to pay $14.99 or $15.99 just so people can know for sure it's me?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Plus, the thing too
they're about
is
to take that away now. Like you have to actually, they're about to actually take away celebrities' blue checks now. Because I was watching, shout out to Real Talk, Pill Talk podcast with T. Pendel. I was watching his, and he mentioned that they were taking away the Twitter blue checks. So, and they making them pay for it now.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you have to pay that. You got to pay the fee. I believe is still small. But
I think it's like $8.
It's still $8.
Yeah, like but it's just like the principle of it now.
Well,
it's
because there's a lot of them too that like before you can make parody accounts of these people, and those also had check marks. So if you take away the check marks of the actual people and of the fake account, then it only leaves for the real person. But at a certain point, if everybody's buying these blue check marks so they're seen and everybody knows about them, they're just going to make another different type of check mark later. Because if that's the bar for everybody to feel famous, if everybody does it, then nobody is famous anymore. So then they have to make something else, and they'll probably raise it to like, I don't know, $15, and then they'll just keep going from there.
It'll probably be like a tier system. It's like, all right, cool. How many followers do you have at this point? How much engagement do you have? And then it turns into like a numbers game. And it'd be like, all right, cool. Versus, hi, I'm trying to think of a celebrity, Halle Berry. Like Halle Berry, you know who Halle Berry is. Her name should be instantly verified. But they'll probably turn into like something like, oh, now it's more less verified, more you got to be certified.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the new thing.
Because you could just start an account called like Barry Halley or something like that, and then
because I think like so Elon Musk, he's verified on there. Obviously, he fucking owns it. But
what if he wasn't?
That'd be hilarious. But so he has an account, and then H3H3 made an account that was a parody of his, saying a whole bunch of like fucked up things. Stuff that he never said, but both accounts were verified, and so that's why he also did it, to make it to where people can't just make tweets for people and be like, oh well, this is what this person said, when that person didn't actually say it, and then we think that that's what they actually said because they have the blue check mark. So he ended up like deleting the whole account and then doing whatever, and then like he makes it a policy to where if it's a fake account, it has to say parody account somewhere.
I think it sounds silly to people who can cognitively like think about this, but there are people who just we're in a very reactive society where we see something, like Twitter. Twitter's the worst case because everything's so quick. Like Twitter was meant for news. Like a news reporter or journalist or whatever can just post something and you see it instantly. Like I think Facebook and Instagram are a little more slower type pace. Yeah. But people see stuff and they just like, oh, reaction, retweet, comment, stuff like that.
The two fastest I think is Twitter and TikTok. For news and stuff like that, which is also why they kind of want to ban TikTok and stuff like that. But a lot of people are so reactive, like with the Jonathan Majors thing. All of that happened in the span of 48 hours. They're like, oh, he abuses women. He's a terrible person. He should go to jail. All of this. He got arrested when he got out because it was all fake. They were like, oh, he paid them off. They harassed her, all this other stuff. And all of which, if people just waited,
just gave it some time,
they would have understood the whole situation, because he felt like he had to post their text messages with him and his girlfriend so that people would leave them alone. And so, you found like she just had like a mental break, and, that's why he called the police to help her go to the hospital. When the police come, if there's any person who has bruises, the opposite person goes to jail. So, and that's always a policy. So like, if you call the police on a chick, if you have bruises, she'll go to jail. If you both have bruises, both of you go to jail. So, because she had bruises from probably hurting herself, he went to jail, and then they were going to charge him. But all those charges, I think, are dropped now. But when that whole situation was going on, they had people make tweets talking about his old stuff, saying that he's always been this way. I have all of these stories and all of this stuff, but they never really posted anything. They were just talking about how terrible of a person he was, but they weren't giving any context to anything.
It's people love drama. And then if you can find all negativity in something, they're not gonna promote it. They're not gonna promote the positive. They're gonna promote the negative. And that's why I was showing you that like the Black China thing, that she's changed her whole life around now. Have you heard about that? Exactly. Exactly. That proved the point right there. So Black China, she changed her name back to Angela White. That was her original name, and she done got all
She's
the
a born again Christian.
yeah, born again Christian.
Really?
She got rebaptized, got the
Yeah.
butt shots and everything taken out, the silicone gone, and she's
Oh my God.
getting everything
She
reversed.
deleted her OnlyFans and all that stuff.
Dang.
Yep.
When people do stuff like that, do y'all think that they were just in a state where they did everything that they had been doing for clout and money, or do you think that they just legit just changed their mind? It's like, I used to want this, but now I just don't.
I think it's a bit of both. Like some people, like as they grow older, they start to realize like the stuff or the path that they're on is not a good path. Like Brittany Griner, like she started to realize how she had been acting and stuff like that. All of that stuff was negative. So she tries to start changing around certain stuff. Sometimes it's a little too late for some people to accept that change because you're already cemented yourself as this type of person. But, she started changing, turning everything around for herself. Some of it is for clout, though. I mean, but, if you're a famous person, pretty much everything you do is kind of for clout at a certain degree.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like whether you like it or not, like
Yeah.
goes to the saying, all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, because
Like,
you could literally, Black China literally could have did that behind closed doors.
Yeah.
She didn't have to post anything. She didn't have to post her journey or anything like that. So yeah, it's like it's a 50% chance that you're doing this just because you weren't relevant anymore, and then now people are like, oh, what's happening? But it's also one of them things where the route that she's taking, and when you kind of go that route, it's like you lose less traction. You have like you're getting a whole new audience.
Yeah,
at
she's
that
getting a lot of hate right now. But the reason I think she said that she wanted to do like post her journey is to for the people that she has influenced, for them to understand that the way that she used to live is not the correct way that you should be living. And the examples and the people that she has motivated in those negative ways, doing the things that she has done, should not be your motivations. And you should strive to be a better person and not like a dirty person, basically. And so that's why she wanted to post her journey and all of that stuff. So like, that's a good thing. But unfortunately, you'll have like all the people that don't believe it or have this preconceived notion of you. So regardless of the change that you're doing, they still don't care.
And that's just the beauty of you as a person. Is you kind of have like I don't really care. It's like whatever y'all think don't really matter. You have to stand on that. You can't, because you've been allowing these people to influence you for this long, and then now that you're finally like, I'm doing my own thing, and like, because you can tell this is influence. You got the stuff that you've done to your image, the stuff that you've done in the community and things like that. People you hang around, it's keeping up with the Kardashians, because basically she was around them all the time. And then
Wasn't she with one of them?
yeah, well, I don't know if she was dating. I think she was good friends with one of them. They were like, but she was like real close friend. That's how I found out about her, because my folks used to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I remember hearing about her.
wasn't she dating Rob?
I think so.
Oh,
The
okay.
brother.
Yeah, she had a kid with him. She had a kid with Rob.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so yeah, I remember that situation was wild.
Yeah, I think it's a funny thing, because it's like once you are chasing that kind of fame, the people who are looking up to you, quote unquote, are probably really shallow people. So even if you go through a change like what she's going through, they don't really care, and they've lost interest in you now because you don't have the things that they desire anymore. So like that's why I think people who are super successful are people who aren't as flashy in the long run. So like somebody like Eminem. Eminem's never been a flashy person, but some people like think about the music Stan. Like people would probably die for Eminem, you know what I mean? And then like somebody like Kid Cudi. Like Kid Cudi changed so many lives. Not a very flashy person.
For real.
So for real, not a very flashy person. So like these people who are more down to earth and more realistic, quote unquote, type of people.
Reeves.
Yeah.
Those are the type of people who are going to have more success long term. And if they were going through something like if they were just going through depression or just had some sort of bad thing happen in their life, they would be more inclined to get good feedback from their fans or something because they would know like, hey, this person actually cares about, or those
Right.
fans actually care about that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope being in the, like we were talking about going piggybacking to bringing it back full circle, like the fame thing. Like when you first say I'm starting to rethink being famous. I was like, yeah, that was always one of the things that went through my brain was I'd rather be rich than famous.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather be like I like being the face of things and being out there, but then when it starts getting too into your personals, and then now it gets to the morals, because it even went to with Black China situation. It was one of those examples where it's a good thing to see a person's family also be in that lane, be somewhat famous, because you can see where they get it from. You can see what happens, because when she made that change, her mom was talking shit online.
Dang.
Yeah, her mom wasn't for all this stuff and was calling her dumb and all this things.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for example, too, what's his name? Blueface, right?
Yeah.
So you look at the Blueface thing and all of that, and then you hear what his mom was talking about,
And you're like,
how weird his mom is, and you kind of understand, like, all right, so this is the reason that you kind of act the way that you act, because like your parents are weird ass people.
Okay, so I don't follow people like Blueface or anything, but it's social media. I see it pop
gonna
up
see
on my
it at
feed.
some
Yeah,
point.
Look, I don't follow him either, but
Yeah,
like
me
I
neither.
So I saw one video. It was like, so Krishan's pregnant, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Is she pregnant,
I
or
think
did she
she's-
get rid of it?
I think
don't
she's
know.
still
They
pregnant.
weird.
I think she kept this.
Okay. So, anyways, I saw some video of it was like Blueface and Krishan was there, and then like her dad was in the video, and
Oh,
like,
you talking when they got the
he
fight?
he
Yeah.
knocked her dad out.
so I saw that and I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if her dad was an actual mature 30, 40-year-old man, that video would have never happened.
Yeah, because when they met up with him, like he was talking to them and everything like that, and he was saying to them, and it was so weird for him to be the most rational person there, but he was saying, like, if a woman hits you, what are you gonna do? And he said, I'm gonna hit her back. And he's like, okay, so when she hits me and I hit her back, that's why I do that. He's like, but you can't do that. He's like, that doesn't make sense. If you do that, you can't be mad at me for doing the same thing. And like what she was talking about with her
He
dad.
said, you ever hit a bitch? He was like, yeah, I hit a bitch.
Yes. Because what her dad would do is take their mother and beat her in the woods.
Oh my God.
And like that's what she grew up with. And it was funny because all of them were against him, and she was the only person that was on his side.
Wow.
Because all of them have beaten women, her brother and her father, and they're mad at him. And somebody was like, it doesn't matter what she does. She's the baby.
That was the brother. The brother made me so mad. I
He's
wanted
like,
to fight him.
it doesn't matter what she does. She's the baby. You have to.
And he kept trying to he kept trying to make it like it was a sweet situation. He was like, he said, she's the baby. Like, you know she's the baby. Like, she get what she wants.
No,
Like,
it was one of the aunts that said it doesn't matter what she does wrong, because regardless of what she does wrong, she's in the right. And he looked. He was like, "What does that mean?"
it was so crazy. It was funny. It was like, because Blueface, that was the first time seeing this man in the light of like right. Like we were sitting there like, yeah, like this is what you deal with, and it just goes into it. It's like these are the people that we have as role models.
Yeah.
These are the people who you guys are looking up to. And I was just telling them about the situation recently, how you know social media is so fucking fake. Because literally India and Lil Durk, they got back together. And they broke up, I think it was because he cheated. And that's what happened. And then she immediately did what you think any normal person would do. So you get cheated on, I'm gone. I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. And everybody, all the women in the chat were going like, And like I'll be the same way. You cheat on me, I'm gone. Like she out here living her best life because she instantly was done with him. Everything was gone. She was out here with her friends and everything. And there was a couple videos of her at the club having fun, throwing ass, all that stuff with her homegirls. Next thing you know, they back together. They back together at the game, and folks are talking so much mess, talking about something. Yes, that's how I got them. That's how I move, and I respect it, and all these things. And they were like, "This is your queen?
Wow,
this the person y'all been talking to? Like y'all been rallying behind her just for her to do these things?" And I was like, "This goes to show you just talking."
Yeah, we also people look up to like the weirdest people.
Yes,
like it. Taking it back to like the Charleston White thing. People just like rally behind some of the worst people and like advocate for some of the worst people. Like there are like, yeah, I like certain rappers, right? Some of them are actual murderers. So like they're actual murderers. And like they didn't murder somebody and like nothing was in self-defense. Like they went out to murder somebody.
You're talking about a lick that you just hit.
Right.
And it wasn't for
and like that sounds cool in a song, right? But then when you actually like obviously some people are lying because it just sounds good in music. Yeah. But like the people that actually did it, you're just like, man, you're a terrible person. I like your music though. But you have people that are like, oh man, they did nothing wrong. Like, let them out of jail. They killed 10 people.
Yeah. Bro,
they need to stay.
Bro, that's how I felt about 21
Free
Savage.
my nigga P Money.
Right. He didn't do nothing wrong.
Bro, he shot 10 kids. What are you talking about?
He shot 10 kids and ran over a cat.
You're like, bro, nigga. Bro, you just gotta look back at it and be like, no, what are we advocating for? What do we? Yeah. This is why RICO cases are real. This is why Young Thug is in jail. Have you heard the things this man has said,
bro?
So I think that's a big topic. Is just exactly what you're saying with the Young Thug thing. Like, so many people are like free Young Thug and stuff like that, and I'm like, I think this court case has some backing behind it. I think he sold drugs and probably got some people killed. You're saying he's a good person?
Like, no. Like, because even if, you do some good things in your life, right? You're still a fucking murderer. Like you can, even if you sold drugs, right? You sold like cocaine and you were with El Chapo and all that, but you probably built a few orphanages or whatever. You're still a drug dealer. You should go to jail.
You're still messing lives
just
up.
as many lives as you've like fixed.
Yeah.
You've also ruined just as many, or if not more.
If not more.
One of my favorite sayings. I know I keep saying sayings, but I just love phrases and stuff.
You're good,
but yeah, it's if you build 1,000 bridges, you're a bridge builder. But if you suck one dick, you're a dick sucker. That's
exactly.
Yeah. So nobody cares about all the other things you did. It's the one thing that triggered people. That's what they're going to remember you by.
Yeah. It's like, bro. And then I was hearing about Rico. I was like, I was like, dang, I really like Young Thug. It's a lot of Young Thug songs out there that I'm like, this is my shit. Like, and I felt bad. I was like, dang, I want the homie to be out. But like, if that shit's true, it's true, bro. Big Dog can't do nothing for it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
as a fan, you can only hope for the best. But like, you can't say it with something that heavy. They've been doing research on you. For Rico, they've been sitting here for a while.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's like it's not just some random allegations. Like,
right.
They've been thinking about this and done their research. So.
Yeah, because it's like it's crazy because you also put it in your music, right? And then they look at it and they're like, so you said that you killed this person on 3rd Street, you buried their body over on 5th, and if you dig not 6 feet but a little bit under, like 12, you'll find the body. So we found the body. What you got to say about that? That's just some lyrics, bro.
That is some lyrics, bro. What are you talking
the
about?
The body is right here.
Because the crazy part is that's what rappers love to be a part of saying is like, this is my reality. I get that. I understand that. I understand this is what you saw.
Yeah, you like to rap about, the experiences that you lived and stuff like that. But there's some parts you should probably
probably not say that part. It's like, bro, if you and your homies robbed this old lady and then pistol whipped her kid, like, you should probably not say that. I remember that's how I felt when 21 first came out. I was like, this nigga's evil. I said, he's a menace. He said, I'll tie, in one of his songs, I think it was Red Ops. He was like, I'll tie you up, pistol whip you while you bitch naked.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this nigga's aggressive.
Bro, it was so funny, though. It was
Like-
funny, too, when everybody found out he was from the UK. And everything that he said got diminished because, like, you're from the UK. You have no cred.
Bro, low-key changed his whole image.
That's why he got a knife on his forehead, because they don't have guns.
But why is that? Like, are we just assuming all people from the UK are just super nice people or something
No,
like that?
like
It's the accent.
It's
Like, you're not allowed to be
It's
hood?
partially the accent, but it's like they consider people in the UK like copies of America. So like gangs here, even though like gangs didn't originate here,
Exactly,
but gangs like people in America are a lot harder than people in the UK because we make fun of their accents because they sound so proper.
Yeah.
So it's just like over here, you know, we'll talk about like killing you or whatever, and they'll talk about like having a duel. So you know, it's different, and then they don't have guns because they have like mass stabbings.
Yeah.
So they're just like, well, we have guns.
I remember somebody saying something about like, and I talked to Matt Lucas about this. He was like, man, when I was younger, like we fought. You know, you fought somebody, and after you're done with it, you shook their hand and stuff like that. He was like, now everybody's scared. And that's why they shoot people, because they're scared to fight. You know,
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to fight.
Most of
somebody.
that's social media too.
Yeah.
Because like back in the day, if you lost a fight, the only people that know you lost a fight were like the people that was there.
Yeah.
And maybe the few people that talked about it. But now if you lose a fight, like it goes all over the internet. So millions of people saw that you got knocked out.
I know during our time it was World Star. You hear World Star, you instantly I need to either knock him out or he needs to go down.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I can't be viral.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I understand, even though I think you're a bitch if you do that, but
Yeah,
like
you
I
still-
understand the fear of it because it's like an image thing. Like my image is gonna get messed up if I get knocked out, and then everybody's like, "Oh man, you're the dude that got knocked out by like the person that was like 5'4".
But there's so many fights out there that it's like even if you get knocked out, my G, it's not that deep. Like it's not that deep. Somebody like
Your fight will get replaced by like 10 other fights. Like I
were
literally because like I literally watch like fights and knockouts and stuff like that on Twitter. So like as many people that get knocked out, I've already forgot about like the 10th person because I'm already on like the 12th.
it got to be something crazy. You got to be like you had to get
Like,
knocked out.
yeah.
Like you got to have to get kicked in your chin or something like
Yeah.
that for me to remember you.
Like there, like I can only remember a few knockouts, and that's it.
Or somebody said something funny in the background. That's the only reason you'll know.
Like I remember like the one fight where like the dude in the middle of them fighting, a dude just starts breakdancing. And then there's like one where like people are fighting and it's in a school and the dude, everybody's recording with their phones, and bro brings out a laptop and he's recording.
Oh my God.
I remember that. But that kind of goes into like you said, like it's more dangerous now. I don't want to fight, and it's like it's even when you're watching like professional people who fight, they'll even say, "I don't like street fights. I don't fight. Like I'll run away." Like they'll straight up say,
Well, yeah,
"I'm not about to do that," because you never know what people are gonna do.
All people that fight professionally, they don't fight outside of that unless they have to.
Yeah.
And that's because they understand like they can hurt you more than somebody else that isn't trained to do it. But most self-defense, like actual self-defense classes, I'm going to tell you that the best way of self-defense is to run away and not fight people. Because like, yeah, like we're teaching you how to fuck somebody up. But the best way to deter that so it doesn't happen is just leave. And don't worry about somebody calling you a bitch.
Yeah, because you about to say,
I was going to say, going off what you said and what you were talking about earlier, like people getting off subject. The University of Oklahoma recently tweeted there's a school shooter, run, hide, fight. And then the comment section was, wow, are we really telling people to fight active shooters?
I was like, that's the
You're
last thing they
missing
said.
you're not only was that the last thing they said, you're missing the point. There's an active shooter that at least the university believes there's an active. Why are you upset that they're telling people to fight and not upset the fact that there's an active shooter and worried about the people that were there?
Yeah, because, I mean, there was, like, speaking of that, there was a video that I saw where, like, this kid was going to shoot somebody, right? And so he was walking, he had his hand in his bag, and he was walking over to him, and then people were like, "Oh, he has a gun." They jumped him. And got it. And fortunately, he didn't have a gun. He had a knife. But he was going to kill this dude because apparently they got into a fight and he lost. And they jumped his ass, took what he had, and they held him down until like the security came. So like if you're telling people, "Oh, well, if you think this person has something, run away." And people are like mad that you say fight. Well, if you have the opportunity to do it and you're safe enough to do it,
take
you
advantage.
should do it because if you don't fight, you could die.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you will die because if they come into you, if they come into the room and they're like, that's just you're sitting ducks. You're sitting ducks at any moment if they get into that situation. So if you're close enough to try to disarm them, and you're like, I can keep a couple casualties down or at least keep myself safe. That's the first thing. You gotta make sure you're good.
Yeah, because that's what happened. Unfortunately, to the little girl, the little 9-year-old in the Nashville shooting.
Yeah, the one that turned on the fire alarm.
Yeah, she ran, turned it on, and that's why she got shot.
That's so sad.
She died a martyr. She came. That was a hero move.
Yeah, they're calling her a little hero and everything, and she is because
Yeah.
if she didn't do that, all the other kids in there would have died too.
Been a lot more.
So did they find out the motive behind
They're still trying to find out some of the motive, but most of it is like they think because she went to school there and she's trans and they're a Christian school, so like she wasn't accepted as a transgender. But part of that is kind of weird because she also was like she was going to go to the mall, shoot up the mall, and she was going to go shoot up another Christian school. So they don't know if she just like is it because of that and because she's trans and she just doesn't like Christians or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that narrative being pushed. I know that it was some circulating around saying that she got into an argument with the pastor and that they about like I guess that in that type of topic, and she didn't agree. And so I was like, that sounds extreme, but at the same time, this is an extreme situation, so I can't count that out either. So, but regardless of the motive, it's like you just got up and thought that you just got up and chose violence.
Well, she planned it out.
Yeah,
She this is something that like she had been planning out for a few months or something like that.
and that's even crazier because most of the times I thought that was like one of them spur of the moments, like I'm gonna go do this because I know I'm going out. I know they're gonna take me out.
She got through the background checks for her guns and everything too, because she bought them legally. So, and I think her parents took one of them away, and then she bought like some other ones. But she went through all the stuff to have them. So she planned all that stuff out. She got everything. She got a tactical vest, bought that, and I don't know if you've seen the video of
I saw
her getting into the school.
I didn't see her. I didn't see how she got in. I saw how they took her out.
So like one of the doors was because it's an elementary school. Elementary schools don't have as good of security, which is why she also targeted that because she said that she wanted to target places that have low armed security. So that's why she went to elementary school. She shot because the doors had glass, so she shot through all the glass, and then she kind of like went in, crawled in. And then she just like went, I think, straight upstairs and just started shooting.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's a wild time we're living in for that to be like it's that normal. So it's kind of like it's a game of chess with America, and it's like we're getting to the point where people are so fed up with the situation happening that either I feel like people are gonna start taking it to their own hands and taking their kids out of school. And being like, I'm going to just, because I even had a conversation with my girl, and she was like, do you want to homeschool kids? When we have kids, do you want to homeschool them? And I was like, I prefer not to. But the way the world is moving, I'm like, dang, now I'm going to have to be in charge of their education.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a choice on like either homeschool or private school. Because I think that like with how things are going right now, there needs to be more armed security at schools because that like greatly diminishes like all that stuff because typically because school is like a gun-free zone, that's typically why they get targeted because it's less resistance. So like Like even with Germantown, like at a certain point, you know, the cops that we used to have that were there, they weren't there anymore at a certain point, so they stopped going. But if you have like armed security, like that really diminishes like people wanting to do something like that.
And at halftime, they're only going to put the armed security down for like low end schools that are in the hood, schools that are like or considered the hood that have a lot of fights. And half the time, those you more safer at going to that school. You more safer going to the hood school.
Even some of those typically sometimes they don't have armed security. They just have security. So like they're high security, but like typically armed guards are at like middle to high end schools because it's a different pay. Because I know when I did security. I wasn't old enough at one point to be an armed guard, but you get paid like $10 more or something like that to do it. So it just kind of depends. Yeah, and there are a lot of like retired veterans that are trying to volunteer to go be guards at the schools too.
Yeah, I was talking
if they
about
allowed them to be like armed.
Me, a coworker of mine, we were talking about a program of like, cause he's a vet. And he mentioned that they should start trying to evaluating the vets when they get out, when they're done with their service, and then trying to get them to be teachers. Because then you have more veterans that have been trained, know what's going on, and they also have a passion to teach. Because he was like, we already teach all the time in the Army, because like once you get done with training and then they put you in a position, you're teaching the next people. So you already have experience of knowing how to like teach people, but now you just got to change that over to getting certified with children. Once you get that done, you know that the people who are in charge of you are not only teachers, but they're Army vets. You can start implementing people who have military training to keep them in there, and then as well as upping some type of process in order to prevent those things. Because it's like it's something that can get done quick, but it's a matter of it's too many gun enthusiasts in the world. And like even the people who are in that in office, and they're gun enthusiasts as well. So it's like you're fighting a hard fought battle, but it's like it's too obvious not to change things. It's too obvious not to try to put some type of parameter on this, because you'll change anything else. Anything else that happens with anybody else, you'll change that law up real quick. But this seems like the slowest thing.
Well, the problem with that too is like if you look at a lot of the like parameters that they have in order for you to get something, like nothing that they would have done would have stopped what happened because she got it legally. Yeah, so there's no parameters that you can put in place to stop somebody from doing that if they're able to buy it legally. All it does is just it makes the process longer.
So you think wouldn't it be better if they just make the process of getting a gun harder?
Well, I mean, if you
I'm not even legally, because you can get it legal. Because I didn't even know you could buy it without having a license. I didn't know.
And that's only in some places.
Well, yeah. Well, I know in Tennessee you can do it. Yeah. Here.
But I mean, if you make it harder, it just makes the process longer. But it doesn't mean that it's going to stop anything. That's the thing. Like the focus shouldn't necessarily be on making the process harder. It should be focusing on people's mental health.
Yeah.
Because
I'm 1,000%.
If nobody who is mentally okay would do this in the first place, you can't blame, like, for instance, like American Dad said it best, right? Guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns. So you can't blame an inanimate object for something that somebody else who's mentally messed up in the head did.
Because then
it diminishes, at that point, it diminishes the people whose lives are lost because you're only saying this is the reason is because of this inanimate object and not focusing on the person and making that person responsible. You're making something that can't move responsible.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I think we definitely avoid mental health in this country to the fullest. And it really baffles me because it's so many people. But I mean, you could be the skeptical person and say it's all about money. Pharmaceutical companies make a lot of money off drugs for medicating mentally ill people. But whatever the case is, I think if we have normal, safe places, as you were talking about earlier, like minorities, I'm like, oh, just go to therapy, my guy. It's like, what are you talking about?
It's still a lot of us out there like that.
Yeah. We definitely need to like, if people focus more on mental health, a lot more people would be much better off, and like not like making people feel weird about doing it. Like we should be more supportive of people trying to focus on their mental health and making sure they're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's like one of the things where I even tell people when we get into the conversation, they get mad by the situation. I'm like, you can't control all the crazies. You can't control. We can't control all the crazies. They slip out because even if we did, like you said, like we enforce gun control, like it could delay the situation, but that's delaying the inevitable of another crazy figuring it out.
Because the thing too is like, say we make it as hard as we can, right? The hardest we've ever made it, and something still happens. Now what?
It might mess around and turn into what you have in the UK, mass stabbings. At that point, you might come in there. As whatever in disguise and just start stabbing people.
Right, because the thing is too, like, you know, almost any object can become a weapon, and if you're able to kill enough people, because like what is it? Like a mass death is like, I think 4 or more people or 3 or more people. So if you're able to kill that many people with whatever weapon, even a pencil, right? You're not going to be like, well, we should make legislations against pencils. Like, you can't keep blaming something on something that somebody uses. At some point, you have to hold the person responsible.
Yeah, I feel like it's a reform thing. It's a generational battle because it's something that takes time. It wasn't something that we were used to. Like, we weren't hearing about. Back in the day, it was church burnings and school burnings and stuff like that for specific communities. Now we have shootings and people are like, this is so wild. I'm like, no, every generation has something wild.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been school shootings. It's just not been as frequent.
Yes,
But there's been a lot. And I think the ones in the past were worse because more people died in a lot of those because we didn't have so
responses.
Many. Yeah. And it's hard for communication and stuff like that because like communication's not the best back in the day. So like a lot of people were getting, you know, murked.
That's why I say when old folks always say that shit about it was like, yeah, it was a lot safer back then. No, the fuck it wasn't. What are you talking about? They were like, yeah, I used to be able to walk to downtown and back, and we'll just be riding our bikes and be out the city. I was like, I'm pretty sure a couple of your homies you didn't know probably got kidnapped. Yeah. I was like, so it was somebody at that one you just didn't know about it because it didn't get to the news until somebody put a newspaper that little Timmy was missing. You didn't know about these things. Like you got whole serial killers out here that have backstories and movies now. We're gonna have those too in like some years, 10, 20, 15 years, whatever. And it's like. It was never. We're in a time now where it's low key. It's still dangerous, but we have more reaction time. To get to it.
Yeah, I mean, even though it's not as dangerous anymore, because we have like cameras everywhere and stuff like that,
right?
And people being recorded, and there's some. I mean, though people won't actually fucking help you, they'll at least record it. So at least if something goes on, like at least you have it that way. Even if they're just watching you get kidnapped, they can at least record it. Because I've seen a video of this guy walking, and these people run up on him and they dump him and put him in the car. And he's trying to fight, and they're beating him up, and then they toss him in the car. The person did not help. They recorded it though, but they didn't do anything other than that. They were like, man, this is crazy.
Also, don't know if this is like a country thing, but I remember watching some video. This guy had, I think he had a father and his daughter. He might have had a knife to him or something, and was like had him hostage. He's literally walking down a street. It's like the busy city or whatever. And he's walking down the street, and it's in another country. I don't know where.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then like the whole city area just jumps the guy.
Not even that. I think I might have sent you this. I'm not sure. It's definitely a country.
Yeah, I know. Yes,
but there's a dude who tried to steal this lady's purse. He got ran over. I
saw it.
There's I think I sent it to you.
Yeah.
He as soon as he tried to, because he was on a bike. So he pulled up on the bike.
Is this in America or somewhere else?
No, this is somewhere else.
Okay.
Got the purse. He hit her, and then the person passing in the car swerved into him, and then he tried to run. The person parked the car, and everybody jumped him. Got the purse, gave it to the lady, and they kept jumping him. So it's definitely like in other places there, but I think part of it too is because they're all primarily one race, so they have a better sense of like community than over here, because people are so divided, especially with like different races and stuff like that.
We're so divided to the point where we got men and women fighting each other.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be on the same team.
I tell people all the time, it's like the best thing about America is you can pretty much do whatever you want. And that's also the worst thing about America is you can pretty much do anything you want.
Yeah.
It's a thing called too much freedom.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we got.
Yeah, I mean, we do. And that's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
But there's not much we can really do about it unless we take people's freedoms away.
Like the school shooter had the full right to go in there.
Everything
and
they
shoot
did
people.
was completely above the table.
Yeah, you have the right to have a mass shooting. Like you have the freedom to have a mass
That's
shooting.
crazy to say out loud. You have the right to be a mass shooter. You have the right to it.
Yeah,
If you want to do it, you can.
Yeah, and then because the other thing too is like we don't take certain things as serious as we should. So like when she contacted her friend, well, the person that she assumed as her friend, she hadn't talked to her in years, right? Apparently the chick owns like her own little show in Nashville or whatever. She told her like, hey, this is gonna be my last day basically, and all this other stuff. So she hadn't really seen her other than the one time she had her on her show. And then before that, she hadn't talked to her since they were in elementary school. She didn't know what to do. She didn't live in Nashville, I don't think. But she called. She tried to call her parents. That didn't work. She called suicide prevention or whatever. They did a wellness check. They told her, hey, we're going to go over there. We're going to do a wellness check. Then a few hours passed, and then they called her again. They're like, hey, we're about to head down there and do a wellness check. She's like, I thought y'all already were coming down there. It's like, no, we didn't. Like, there are so many things that didn't get communicated properly. And if they would have went when they said they would have, they probably could have prevented what happened, because I don't think she left. I think they tried to match up the times when, I don't know the time specifically, but like say they called her and said, hey, we're going to head down there, and it's like 1:00, and they called her again at 3:00. Well, the shooting was at 2. So if you would have went when you originally said something, you probably could have stopped what happened, but they just didn't communicate everything properly.
She gave all the warning signs.
Yeah, and her friend did everything that she could. She doesn't talk to her. She was like, I don't know who this person is anymore, because I haven't spoken to them in a long time, and it's a lot to put on somebody randomly.
Yeah, and then you don't feel comfortable even going over there, especially if y'all haven't communicated like that. Because this is somebody that you like. I personally know you might drop everything and be like, I'm coming over there. But you're talking about doing something crazy. It's like, all right, I don't know if you might take me out in the process because you don't want me to stop you. So yeah, she did everything she could, and the fact that she called suicide hotline and they did that kind of they need to be put on blast. They need to be put on blast, and they need to evaluate what's happening with that system, because it's like, how many people have y'all probably let down? It's not just her.
Yeah,
because you probably could have prevented a lot of things if that's the route that they're taking.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the highest amount of gun violence that we have in the United States is through suicide. So like, you know, that's where, like, if you look at like all of the gun violence, over half of that is suicide.
Oh shit. I'm about to say, is there anything else you guys had on? Wrap this. No, this was a little longer one, but it was a good episode. So. It's been a good episode. I low-key was like, I'm gonna keep it going. Fuck it. But
we got to get to the next one.
Yeah, we got some things we want to get to in this next episode. But hey, man, I appreciate you coming through to this episode. But I say, you guys, you know the usual. Like, share, do all those things. Rate us 5 stars on all social media platforms. Helps us move up the algorithm in any audio things, whatever you guys are listening on. And go ahead.
And if you're down with the get down, go ahead and subscribe.